So it's I think Resurrection is a more enjoyable movie, in my opinion. I think Prometheus just ends up being kind of boring
Mm.
more than anything.
So Prometheus came out 12 years ago. It came out in 2012 here. I remember seeing it, and I interested to watch it again and go back to see it because I didn't like it when I saw it. I did love Michael Fassbender. His performance as the android, his performance as David, I think is one of the things. I think you know, really Scott never finished. I guess it was supposed to be a trilogy of movies he's supposed to come back and do. He only did two. He only did Prometheus and Alien Covenant. And then like there was that harsh backlash against Prometheus, and then maybe that caused the shift to do Alien Covenant, and then they were like, okay, well, I guess it's not working. And then there's that, and then now 7 years later we got Alien Romulus. There, was directed by Fede Alvarez. I guess he's the guy you call to do like horror franchise reboots. He's like, hey man, we need you. So we Evil Dead. But then I mean his Evil Dead movie never even got a sequel.
Yeah.
They actually waited for that, and like 10 years later, they did another Evil Dead movie. But yeah, so Fiddy, I don't know what the plan is after this Alien Romulus movie, if they are going to do a sequel to it. I think this movie's doing pretty well in the box office. It seems like it's doing pretty well there, so I don't know if it is going to get a sequel. But there is also an Alien TV show that's coming out. It's going to be with Noah Hawley called Alien Earth. Um,
That I'm really interested in.
yeah, so it's interesting to see what they're going to do there. It's also a prequel, so it's going to be like in 2092.
Okay.
So it's going to be way before the events of all the other Alien movies and everything like that. So it'd be interesting to see what they do there. And Noah Hawley, I like his work, I like what he did. He did Legion. He also did Fargo. I think he worked on the first couple of seasons of Fargo. Um, and then
Yeah.
he left. I didn't really watch Fargo past season 2. I kind of dropped out. I'm not
Okay.
say I didn't like season 2. I was just like, oh, y'all doing more seasons, okay? I just yeah, there's a lot of TV there to
I
watch.
think I'm caught up on all of it. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, yeah, because I know the latest season had who in it? John Hamm, right?
Um, Maybe there is one I haven't seen if John Hamm's been in it. The last one, at least that I watched, was kind of it was like, it was set in the Kansas City in the 50s, and it was like the Italian mob and the black mob
With
going
Chris
to,
Rock.
yeah, Chris Rock was like the Don of one of the mafias, and they were going to war with each other. And yeah,
Oh yeah,
I mean, there was some interesting stuff in there. I don't know if I thought it totally came together like as a full picture, but there was some really good stuff in there.
yeah. I think the John Hamm season is after that one. It's after
Okay, so I guess I didn't see the last one then,
that.
which I thought
You
I did.
Ulysses said, "I hope we get more alien themed Easter candy." There.
Just, we have monetized and merchandised the xenomorph to the ends of the earth. I'm surprised there's not a children's breakfast cereal with like a xenomorph on the cover with a spoon of sugary cereal.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to pick up some of the popcorn buckets with alien ramen. Those look like really cool popcorn buckets. Unfortunately, I was not able to pick
Yeah, I
them
haven't
up.
even
Yep.
been to the theater, so I did see Cuckoo. I did get a chance to go see that. It's a much smaller, like independent theater, but
So yeah, you got kind of different ones here. He's got all the different ones. He's got the black dildo one here. He's got the one that's face hunger hanging off the popcorn bucket. And he's got the I don't know what the exact term for that is, but like the tube that they have the face huggers in there.
mm,
So they kind of got that in there. So yeah, so that's not nice. Yeah, very cool. Very very cool. They have there. I wish I
we're
could.
we're in the age of popcorn buckets. I feel like that's what's really getting people back to theaters.
Yeah, people just want to buy the popcorn bucket. They don't even see the movie. They just go, I just want the popcorn bucket, the stage there. But yeah, but a lot of the movie was praised, for its return of practical effects. Went back to that with the face huggers, with the xenomorph, kind of that. So that the movie was very much praised for that. But let's see here with Alien Romulus. Uh, it's burst into the box office with 108 million global debut, and it had also a budget of $80 million. So pretty small budget, pretty really good budget there, pretty modest budget
Yeah,
for a movie. When nowadays everything costs 200 million, 300 million there.
right.
So strong opening weekend for it. And I don't think it's gonna have any real because this week, I mean, The Crow is not making any money. Crow's not doing anything. Then there's also
I
what
don't think all those Crow fans are coming out to support it.
Yeah, all the goth kids are gonna come out to the Crow. I don't think so. Did you see what they did for marketing for on the Manhattan the Statue of Liberty? Did you see that?
No, they put marketing on the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, they had it where the Statue of Liberty was like covered in like mascara, and then they had crows all over it, and then they released crows on the Statue of Liberty. Let me see if I can find that here.
Wow,
So
all
they
right, that's a new one.
uh man, yeah. So let me see right here. So this is the marketing they're doing right here for the crow here. So you see, yeah, they kind of do the makeup of the crow on the Statue of Liberty, and then all these kind of crows on it. They have it flying away. The makeup almost looks kind of more Joker esque, really
It does.
than
Yeah,
crow. I guess they couldn't really paint the face white on Statue of Liberty. Like that would make it more like okay, this is maybe more the crow, maybe.
sure.
But yeah.
It it
So
looks like a note that Zack Snyder might have drawn in like April grade or something.
Uh, and this is the video. Hold on. Let me see. Let me play this video here. And the crows were CGI. That's CGI, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Is the makeup like photoshopped on for the video, or did somebody get up there and paint that on
Nah,
the
that's
actual?
Photoshop. That's Photoshop.
Okay,
Yeah, Photoshop on there.
okay,
Yeah.
that's less ridiculous. I was like seriously thinking someone might have actually gone up there and like I don't know, hung from a helicopter ladder and just.
Which I don't even understand why the stand. I mean, because I mean, the crow is set in Detroit, not
Yeah,
like
I don't know what
yeah,
that has to do with the crow.
yeah. I don't know. I don't
It's
know
just a
what.
big thing people have seen. That's all
Yeah.
I can really think of.
So I mean that movie's yeah not making that much money there anyway. So it's gonna have a good time. Alien Romulus in the box office. It's probably gonna be there for a minute. I think the next big movie is probably oh geez, what is the next big movie to come out? Gonna have to see, but yeah, it's gonna have a good time in the box office. I mean, a lot of people have already seen pretty much Deadpool and Wolverine already. He says the Crow summer road trip there.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I was
That
thinking about
fits
doing
totally.
a retro review of the Crow. When's the last time you've seen the original Crow?
I think I watched it either sometime last year or the year before, so fairly recently.
Yeah, that movie came out in 1994. That movie. Does that make it its this is 30th year anniversary?
Yeah.
Wow,
Wow.
it's
Yeah.
wow, 30th year anniversary.
Timing, man.
Jeez, that time is yeah, wow, going by there. Yeah. Yeah. Do you think this movie is just immortalized because of the death of Brandon Lee, or do you think it's actually a good movie?
I think both. I think both. I do think it's a good movie. I think it's a. I mean, it makes some changes from the comic books that it's based on, but I think it's pretty solid. Um, and I think his death immortalizes it on top of that. I think that's part of why not only have all of the attempts at doing sequels and remakes and whatever, not only have they not been good, but I think it also makes it very difficult to try again. Um, if they were good, it might be a different conversation. But there is just something, I don't know. There is something special about it. Like it's like watching a haunted film in some
Mm.
ways. Like there's a weird, almost hard to describe feeling that this movie carries with it. That I have a hard time seeing how anyone could really pull that off. Not only that, but I mean, the '90s are also. It was such a time specific thing for that goth look. And not that there haven't been gothic things and people that do like a goth fashion style since then, but I don't know. There's something just really rooted in the time period about that, about the style of it, even pertaining to like the book. Um, that just it was kind of there in the '80s and it was there in the '90s, and it kind of went away in the 2000s a bit. Yeah, I don't know. I have a hard time seeing someone do The Crow again. I think the actor's death is the cherry on top of making it hard to do, but I think there's a few different reasons.
Yeah. I mean, the Batman, I mean, this basically was the Crow, basically. I mean,
That's
it's
true.
kinda like, hey,
That's
you
true.
got a dark emo guy kinda there,
He definitely hasn't seen the sun, so
definitely hasn't seen the sun. I mean, that kinda had that, like, the gothic type city type look, but they've done that a lot in Batman. I know, it's not like the Crow created that, but, yeah, I mean, you kinda had that kinda going on, that vibe with the Batman, and it just seemed like, "Hey, listen, the blueprint of how to do it on modern age has already been done. It's the Batman, and we could just do that there already." And,
I
you
think
look at oh,
I
you
think
good?
doing the white makeup with the black, it's also very hard to do that today without making people just like think of juggalos.
Mm. Juggalo. Yeah, what they call what they call the fans of Juggalos? What they call them?
Oh, I have no idea.
I forgot what they call them. Yeah, but yeah, that's a yeah. Oh, I can kinda see that. Yeah. I forgot what the
That wasn't a
name
thing when the original Crow came out.
yeah, and they have, like, a whole big festival and everything for people who love the
Yeah,
Juggalos and
spray
all
soda all over the audience. Everybody goes
yeah.
home sticky.
Uh, Faygo, yeah, they do that. Yeah. I don't know.
That's the only reason that entire brand is even in business.
I've never is do they sell that in grocery stores, Faygo? They just sell it? I've never
I've
seen
seen it, but I've never tried it.
yeah, I've never had it in my life there, yeah. But, hey, it's big, people love it, it's a whole oh,
Somehow.
those are the fans, and then Insane Clown Posse is the band. Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that, Ulysses, yeah, okay. Mm, alright. Maybe it seems like, I don't know, maybe good for content. Go out there, see what people are all about, maybe having a good time there. Fun, as long as everybody's safe, healthy, happy, that's all that really matters.
Just makes it hard to do a new Crow movie.
Um, so we got, and I'm gonna be leaving for another trip. I got a work trip coming up this Sunday, so I'm gonna be gone next week. So there'll be no streams there, but hopefully Nick, he'll be able to take over there for me, and come back next week, Friday and do a stream. So news-wise, like I said, Gamescom stuff, Black Myth Wukong, maybe discuss some of the Bo DeMayo stuff, some passing, maybe Star Wars Acolyte, maybe a little bit of that. And then head out of here. And of course, as always, going to be raiding somebody. Cosmopolitics is on right now. Mini Portable's on. Is she still on? Oh, no, she's not still on. Vanny Spheres is on. The Chill Spot is on, who's also playing back Black Myth Wukong. He's into that right now. Uh, yes, good people that we on and raid here. A lot of people, yes, new big game. A lot of people on that Black Myth Wukong there. Yeah. Do you know about that knock feature that's on Twitch now?
Knock feature, no.
So it's like people can just enter your stream and you can't, deny it, like, people just can come into your stream and do that, like, just join it.
Huh.
You can't even confirm
So
it,
weird.
deny it, like that, yeah.
That's odd.
Um, yeah, so it's like a new
Huh.
feature there with, yeah, with Twitch. I guess you have to I guess, turn it off, I guess, to do
Huh.
that.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
at least if there is a turn it off option.
yeah. So it's just like somebody you like, not even somebody you're following, just it's, you know,
Huh. I
boom,
feel
just
like
any random.
that could get weird very
Yeah,
quickly.
I mean, yeah, especially if trolls come in and do that, yeah, it can get, yeah, very odd, very weird there. Let's get into this stuff here and, move along. Alright, so, Sage, you've been playing Black Myth Wukong, the game is finally out, it is finally here. What are your initial impressions of it?
And this so far has totally lived up to the hype that I had for it. I've got about 12 hours into the game. Somewhere in chapter three, as I understand it, there are six total chapters. So, but they've also gotten significantly bigger. This the third chapter is just massive. Like I feel like I've completed both the first two and the time it's taken me to just get like part of the way through chapter three. Um, but yeah, right off the bat, this game has one of the coolest, just most visually stunning kind of intro sequences I've seen in a video game, frankly, since God of War 3 in 2010.
Mm,
In terms of that epic scale of mythology, this kind of picks up as at the ending of the story of Journey to the West, where Sun Wukong has gone into heaven to like go to war with all of the gods and the celestial beings. And that's your tutorial is literally a fight on the clouds, and there's all these giants surrounding you, and it just it's so like it's just the perfect hook. You know, you go into an epic mythology game or that you're hoping will be an epic mythology game, and right off the bat, it gives me everything I'm looking for from something like this. Um, Now, there's been a lot of discussion on this in general, but a lot of people have, you know, it was like, is this more of a Dark Souls game? That's kind of the vibe people got from a lot of the footage over the years. Uh, you know, the team I believe said early on that Dark Souls and God of War were big inspirations for this. But if I was going to compare this to another video game, and I think it does a really good job of being unique. There's elements that I recognize, like your kind of rest stops that are very similar to Dark Souls. You know, you rest at them, refill all your health and your magic. All the enemies that you beat come back, right? So that's very Dark Souls. But if I was going to compare it most closely to another game, it would actually be Bayonetta.
Mm.
The kind of quick rapid feel to the combat. It's so fast and smooth. It's much more about dodging. It's not like there's like a parry special spell kind of ability, but for the most part, with your basic gameplay elements, it's not really like too much of a block or parrying involved in the game. And even when you do get like that kind of spell parry off, it's you're not really rewarded too much for it, like you are in something like Sekiro. But it's much more of a dodge game here, where like at Bayonetta, you if you do like a perfect dodge, it like slows down time and kind of freezes things and gives you this chance to get a bunch of hits. And this game has a mechanic very similar to that. But the actual hits, the combos that you're doing, it just feels very satisfying. And some of that's the sound design. It just feels very impactful. Um, there's also so many boss fights in this, like rapid, like nearly back to back. Some of them. It's not quite like a boss rush game. I guess in that sense is where I'd compare it to something like Sekiro, where like you have areas in between and you have kind of regular enemies, but a lot of this game is focused on these just really cool, very well designed boss fights. That all have these very specialized patterns. It's all about kind of learning how to maneuver yourself through that environment. It's got that kind of almost boss fights are a puzzle sort of element that is kind of Souls like. Um, Now, as far as the difficulty goes, I'll be really curious to see, you know, how hard people find this in general. So far, there's been like three bosses or so that have given me like a really hard time where I've like had to sit and really kind of focus in on it. But the vast majority of the bosses, I've probably done like 15, 20 boss fights at this point. And I think most of them I found fairly easy, or maybe like on the second try I'll get it. I haven't, I haven't found it to be like a supremely difficult game. I've also played all of the Souls franchise, all the From Software stuff. So that might just some of that reflex, some of that kind of built-in muscle memory that might be giving me an edge here. So maybe I'm not the best judge of difficulty for it, but there are no difficulty settings. Like it's just you turn the game up, it's just kind of the way it is. Um, and then, well, the one other big thing I definitely wanted to bring up is I have heard other people talking about having some performance issues with the game, some slowdown, some frame rate issues. I personally have not experienced any of that. I'm like 12 hours in,
Are
and it
people
has
saying
been
this
some
on it's on PC or PS5 console or
so I that's it's about the PC that I've heard of that about, but
oh,
that's also pre a day one patch coming out, so perhaps that solves some of those problems. But for me, at least playing it on the PlayStation 5, I've it's been a completely smooth experience. I have really not had a single glitch or kind of frame rate or screen tearing or any of that stuff. It's been like buttery smooth, which is one of the things you kind of worry about with a game that like looks so graphically high quality, and it's such a big experience. Almost everything nowadays comes out with like some degree of glitches. Like it's like Capcom with Resident Evil is like the only thing I could think of where I'm like those come out and they're smooth and I don't have to worry about it. So this for me is even like ahead of the market on that, on the performance element of it, because yeah, it's just been just kind of no issues at all. Like some people before it came out, I saw we're talking about like some crashing and some like bad frame rate problems, but again, that's PC version. Maybe that's still there. Maybe that's been patched. But on the PS5, it's been like it's runs like a dream.
Okay. And does it you mentioned a game like God of War 3, and when that game came out, it very much pushed the limits of the console that it was on, and when God of War Ragnarok, people were like, "Okay, this really is like this is what you need a PS5 for. This game right here, because what it does for this console really pushes it to a limit, shows off the glory of that game." It's the same case here with Black Myth Wukong. This is like one of the reasons to have a PS5 or a console or things like that in general.
I think so. I think this game is gorgeous. I think it's right up there with something like God of War Ragnarok graphically. And you know, it's something to be said for you don't get Chinese mythology in video game. Like this is kind of a first, at least on like a AAA level like this, and at least internationally. So not only I think is it just in terms of its the graphical fidelity, it is extremely high quality. It is right at the top of the industry for that. And then it's also got this just really wonderful, unique art direction and aesthetic and kind of just visual design, even aside from the graphics themselves. That just it's so unfamiliar within at least the medium of video games that it sets it apart for so many of these enemies are things that I've never seen before. You know, I'm no expert on Chinese myths, so some of this stuff is going to be out there, and I'm sure for some people, especially if you are from China, it's not necessarily going to be new, but I definitely have not seen it depicted like on the kind of level that this has picked it up. I mean, the this is the kind of tutorial sequence here you're playing footage of, and especially when it kind of ends the gameplay part and goes into the cutscene here, it is visually just incredible what they're able to achieve here, and
Seamless?
for so many. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I said seamless? It's seamless?
It feels
Cool.
super seamless to me. There are some loading screens in the game between areas, but they're like 10 seconds. It's super quick. So it doesn't have like the completely unbroken, no loading screens element of, stuff like the Dead Space remake or some of those games. But those are also just smaller games, right? In terms of the area that you can actually explore. It's a little more compact, and so it allows that kind of thing. But outside of like 10-second loading screen every once in a while, they're not even common. And when you die, your respawn is also very very quick as well. It goes super fast. So yeah, I really have had no issues with it. I can't think of okay, the one complaint that I could maybe throw its way, there are times when and I'm trying to explore and I'm trying to go, all right, which way is the main path? Let me go every other way and explore and find everything I can before I go do like the next story based boss mission, right? Let me fight the side stuff, let me explore. And sometimes like it does get a little hard to tell what's a side path and what's a main path. Luckily, I mean you can fast travel backwards, so it's not a huge deal. Um, but there are times when I'm like, oh, I wish that maybe the environment just made it a little more obvious which way I was supposed to go. Just because I like going the other way and making sure I'm finding everything. And sometimes you get sucked into a cutscene or like a big story moment, and you're like, oh, I was definitely not done exploring this area first, but you should come back later.
People have talked about sometimes people don't like big games. As far as games like Zelda Breath of the Wild, Elden Ring, how massive it is in terms of the scope of it. Would you say Black Myth Wukong is a little bit better in that sense of it's not as massive as something like that, but it's also not as straightforward as something like maybe people are hoping for. Like, okay, it's clear you have to go to this objective and do this. For players who do like that type of experience, the A to B just type of experience, does it satisfy that player there too, as well as satisfying a player that also likes kind of that more bigger open world experience?
I think it's definitely closer to the former. It's not massive. Like the areas are big, don't get me wrong, and there are paths to go on, and there is side content, but it is relatively straightforward. I would say in terms of that element of it, I would compare it actually to something like God of War Ragnarok, where there's certainly stuff to explore and there is side content. You're not funneled down a single hallway the whole time, but there is a pretty straightforward, and despite having like optional kind of explorable side areas, it is not like it's not something where like it's not like a Fallout game or a Skyrim or anything like that where you're just going to get sidetracked on a list of never-ending side quests for 30 hours before you get back to the main story. I think that it's definitely uh more linear than that. I think it compares to any single player game where you've got your main story, you've got your path you're following, and then there's every once in a while, hey, there's some stuff to go check out before you go the way you're supposed to go. It's to me it seems pretty straightforward. I would say that if you're looking for something that's super open world, uh, you know, it might actually be less of a thing to be interested in then. I think it's closer to the linear story driven levels than it is open world. It's got that in between element, but I think it's closer to linear.
Yeah, and I don't know if you said it already, but you said before when we were talking, you clocked in 12 hours of the game. Overall, the experience may vary for some people depending on how difficult they find it. I've seen various reports here. Some people say about 40, 50 hours here if you want just to do the main quest. And then if you include all the other side quest stuff, it may take you to 55 to 70 hours there. I've seen some people say that with it. What do you think as far as like, your experience with it playing a little 12 hours? You think it's a game that you're going to try to 100% and then really go that full experience? Or do you think you're just going to hit the main quest or come back
I
later?
think I think I am going to try and do everything. Um,
Okay.
it's it's got the kind of thing where, and it doesn't happen. I mean, for me, it's probably 2 or 3 times a year I get this experience with the game. But it's that sort of kind of addictive feeling where you get through a part, you get that satisfying victory over a boss, and you have somewhat of a good idea of like it's probably only going to be 10 minutes before I find another boss. Let me just do let me just do one more. Let me just do one more after that. No, well, I did that, so let me just do one more. It's got that kind of gravitational pull for me that yeah, maybe a couple times a year I find a game that really has that. But like where it's like I have to convince myself to put it down and go do something important. Like I have to like argue with my. It's like no, I should really go do this instead. Let me set this down and come back later because I don't want to. Like every time I'm in the middle of this, I don't want to put the controller down, and I mean I think that's a really big sign of success for me.
Very nice. Any strong negatives for you with the game so far?
Like I said, really the only thing is just maybe a little bit of signposting to say like this is where you're supposed to go, so that I could turn around and explore before I kind of continue the main story. Um, there are some invisible walls in the environment sometimes where like it'll look like you could totally go down a path and then you'll try and it's kind of an invisible wall. It's not too immersion breaking for me, but I could totally see that bothering some people where maybe the environment looks slightly more explorable than it actually is. Um, but again, for me, that's not a huge ding. I just could see why maybe someone else would get a little frustrated trying to go down these paths and then kind of getting stuck on the environment. Um, but other than that, really not no real strong negatives.
Mm, okay. We're gonna come back a little bit later. You're gonna give your full review of it once you're done beating the game there. This is just with your initial impressions of Black with Wukong, how you felt about it. Like I said, big success for it right here. This is Forbes article right here, Forbes India. It says right here that Black Myth Wukong was released globally on Tuesday and enjoyed one of the best opening days as measured by the number of players on a gaming platform, Steam, and sold nearly 1.2 million pre-release copies there. And this game says it's already being hailed as one of the most successful Chinese-made video games already. This is here. And then it says here more than 1.4 million people are playing Black Myth via gaming platform Steam around at around 5 p.m. There on this
And it's
past.
gone up. since then.
And
Uh,
it's gone
it's
up
it's
there.
yeah,
Okay.
it's right now, as far as I'm aware, its highest concurrent number of players is 2.3 million, which it actually hit like 2.1 million yesterday, and already at that point was considered the highest peak player count on Steam. And then it kind of dropped down because not everybody's playing all day. And then today it went back up and broke its own record. So it broke the record 2 times within 2 days of release.
Wow. And it's also getting high praise from critics as well. On Metacritic, it has a score of 82 out of 100, based on an average of 57 reviews there. So it's getting some high scores there. So it seems like a big win, especially for the Chinese market there. Like I said, I mean, what was the last big Chinese video game here that got this much attention? Probably hard to
There has
name.
never been one.
So yeah, I mean, hey, it's getting a lot of praise there and financial success. But as much as we talked about a lot of some of the positive stuff, there's also a lot of negative that's kind of going on right now. A lot of negativity, I think, also kind of sparked from this review right here. So this was Screen Rant. Screen Rant reviews a lot of games, reviews a lot of pop culture stuff there, media, and they gave it 3 out of 5 stars. That's what they kind of gave it, which is average. 3 out of 5. That's probably saying it's
Yeah, I mean
high.
that's not even like a horrible number either. That it's yeah, average is a good way to describe it. That's not like it's not like this person hated it.
Yeah, just kind of average. Pros: combat is fluid and fun. The author of this article wrote, cinematography can be breathtaking at times. Great diversity in items and mechanics. Cons: game performance is unpolished. Gameplay becomes repetitive over time. But this was the one thing that got people really angry. One of the cons is lacking in inclusivity and diversity. Was one of the big cons that they've marked off here for the game. Um, yeah, that's what kind of got people up in arms about that. And you can't see who actually wrote this article anymore because one of the notes here says that editor's note, the author's name has been removed for their safety. Yeah. And then also another note with this article here, it says the studio behind Black Myth Wukong Game Science has previously been accused of fostering a toxic environment for its workers. The 2023 allegations include sexualized comments against women, misogyny, fat phobia, and more. More details can be found here, and then the links to another article there. So yes, the writer of this article, has been facing a lot of harassment because of the review that I think it was a woman who wrote it. I think it was a woman who wrote this review here. And like they said, she had to remove their name for safety. What do you think about those cons that the reviewer left for this game?
I mean, the performance thing, again, that's someone that played the PC version before it came out. So that's something that like that could be totally valid. They could have had a ton of performance issues. It's hard for me to really comment on that one too much because especially with PCs, they're also different. It's somewhat more of an individualized experience. As far as the diversity part, I don't know, it's a game with like no humans really, barely at all to speak of. It's all like animals and stuff, like animal spirits. So I don't know 100% what someone's asking for when they make that complaint about the game. So I mean, I saw it and I rolled my eyes at it a little bit, but I also am like, I'm not gonna go harass someone for feeling that way. It's like it is just their opinion. I mean, do I agree with it? I don't know if I really see it, but at the same time, if that's someone's opinion, they're entitled to have their opinion, whether I agree with it or not. So, I mean, I just said earlier, right? With like Prometheus, we were talking about, don't harass the people online. Like they could disagree with you, and this is one review out of how many glowing positive reviews that this game's gotten. So what if one website gave it a low score? I might, I'm for me, it's just like I go like, that's a little weird, and I move on with my day. It takes up no space in my mind, really.
Yeah. Yeah, because yeah, when one of the cons is inclusivity, diversity. Like I said, they're mostly everybody's mostly animals, right? They're mostly
Yeah,
demons or creatures, something like that. Here in it.
creatures of animals. I mean, some of them are more humanoid than others, but for them, a good chunk of them are like so animal that like you wouldn't be able to tell whether they were male or female anyway. And yeah, I mean, and there's even been a few very feminine like boss, like characters and like boss fights that I've come across. So it's not like it's not there at all. Um, Maybe that's a sign of skipping side content. Maybe they're not seeing some of that stuff because they're not playing all the side content and exploring. I don't know if that's why, but I don't know. It seems like a little bit of an odd complaint. But again, if that's how the person feels, it's how they feel. I'm not going to get mad at them for it.
Yeah. It is it's a little silly considering the type of game that it is here. It seems like the humanoid characters that you do see, are they just Chinese there, or
Yeah,
they look
everything's Chinese. Like
yeah.
it's. I mean, if it's talking about racial diversity, I don't know why there would be any because it's an ancient Chinese story from like the 1600s. I would think it would be exclusively representing Chinese culture. If it's about like a gender thing, then again, I think so much of it's like animals that aren't distinctly male or female, at least from what I can tell. I mean, some of them are maybe more masculine looking that are slightly more human. And I've also, like I said, I've also come across some very feminine characters, enemy types and boss fights and stuff as well. So like, there's no lack of it that I'm noticing. And if it's racial diversity, again, it's like ancient Chinese mythology. So like, I don't know why there'd be anything but Chinese characters in it.
So here she goes on to the author goes on to elaborate on this. It says large lacks inclusion and representation. So she says, while my analysis and review of Black Myth Wukong remain focused on gameplay, it's important to mention the controversy surrounding the game's studio and the reports of misogyny and sexism from developers. Something we read earlier on in the notes here. Playing as a female gamer allowed me to notice issues surrounding inclusion and representation as far as chapter 1 and 2, while the characters are clearly fictitious and fantastical creatures, there were no female or feminine NPCs, enemies, or bosses present. The only
Well, that's just
exception,
straight up not true. I've
the
seen multiple with my own eyes. So
The only exception, if you can call it female, is a boss named Mother of Stones in Chapter 2, which is nothing more than a still glowing rock with no abilities being guarded by other enemies. The lack of diversity and inclusivity resonates with the misogynistic comments reported to have been made by developers which express disdain for women playing their games. Although Black Myth Wukong does have truly enjoyable moments, the underlying feeling that women aren't welcome in the world felt present throughout my gameplay experience. Um,
well, I can tell you right now that that's part of that's just straight up not true. I've seen characters in the game. All I just One of the last things I did before I shut the game off a little bit ago was a boss fight with this woman that like transforms into a dragon and then back into a woman and is this like celestial kind of she's like a member of like the court of heaven in the game's mythology, and it's just like yeah, it has all these like crazy lightning powers, and it was actually one of the tougher bosses I've dealt with so far in the game overall. So I mean, like that's just one example. That's not the only one that I've noticed. Um, and that's the dragon that she turns into. So I think this boss fight is just the dragon, or from this particular sequence. And then there's a part later in the game where you're fighting like the woman form of the same character, but like on top of like this giant turtle in the water. It's the same character though. That dragon becomes this woman. But then I also do want to call attention to so in that review there, she's mentioning like a previous controversy about sexist comments and stuff. And this is where this is another moment where I'm glad I'm friends with my friend Sky, who co-hosts on my channel. She's from China originally, and so that was an IGN article that posted a bunch of this stuff a couple months ago. And at first, I was just like, I don't know what to think exactly because they're like saying that these comments were made, but then there were people in China that were on the internet that were saying, "Oh, these are mistranslated. This isn't what they were really saying. IGN is just trying to contort this to make it sound bad." And for a while, I was like, "Well, I don't know who to believe because I can't read it, and I'm not seeing anybody post, what the comments were or how they were mistranslated." So for a while, I was just like, "I don't really know what to think." But then, not too long ago, maybe a month or so, my friend Sky, who's originally from China, she actually got to see those comments themselves, And she told me that they absolutely were mistranslated. There were, as far as she could tell, there were no sexist comments to speak of. And to put it in context, the actual quote translated properly was, "We do not want female representation that is only for the male gaze or for the lustful male gaze." So
Mm.
again, I could see how that could easily be misinterpreted. Translating different language is complicated. I just heard a story the other day about someone at a wedding, and this woman's grandfather got up to give a speech, and he's speaking Ukrainian, and in the English translation, well, in his actual language, he says like, "No one will ever love you as much as I do," blah blah blah. And then the English translation from the translator came out, "I'm your grandfather. No one will ever love you."
Mm.
So you can just see how
Oh,
language can be easily misinterpreted. And just knowing someone personally who was able to look at those things and kind of come back to me and say, "This is what that was actually said." So to me, that review, again, it's just someone's opinion. I'm not going to get angry at them. They should not be harassed off the internet for having written it. But it does seem to be based in misinformation, a mistranslation that, whether it was on accident or it was to get clicks for IGN, I don't know. I'm not going to presume to know if it, what, that they're doing anything on purpose or not. But it's, to me, that seems like this big mistranslation that people heard, went into the game with a bias, already thinking that that's, oh, this is going to be sexist, and then just assumed because that's what they heard, all right, this is what I'm seeing. And I'd also like to point out too that the the big final piece of evidence in that IGN article was that the game company's logo kind of looks like a sperm, and that was like their really strong evidence that this game is going to be sexist when it comes out. And if nothing else, that feels like it is truly grasping at straws, and that's the
uh,
sign of someone that doesn't have an argument to me.
what's the name of it? It's Game Science, right?
Game science. And I even looked into it, and the little logo, it's from like a projectile attack in like a mobile game that they worked on. So it's got like this little lightning bolt thing, and I believe it comes from the like Chinese character for tadpole is how they
Mm.
got that logo. But again, this was used as like evidence that the studio is, on top of mistranslated quotes, their logo looking kind of like a sperm was like the big nail in the coffin for why this game is going to be like a sexist nightmare. So again, I'm not angry at this person for having a different opinion than me. You should leave them alone. If you want to post a helpful comment and be like, "Hey, I think you might have misunderstood this," that's one thing. But like, don't harass them off the internet. But it does. I do think they got this one wrong. I don't think that they're working with all the correct information.
Yeah. So this is the logo right here. I can kind of see that. I guess it looks.
I can see how it could look like that to someone else.
Yeah.
But to
I
be
don't know. It kind of
like,
looks like a spoon. I don't know. It kind of looks like a spoon to it.
sure. But to kind of assume like, hey, this company's sexist because their logo reminded me of a sperm. I'm like, that's a really thin argument, I think.
Yeah. And so this is a feminine presenting person right here. Huh,
Yeah.
I would say so.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Absolutely. And especially the voice also was very feminine.
well, let's hear the voice. Let's hear a little bit of it.
You roused Turtle, General. How could you know he's here below?
Turtle? Snake?
Yeah.
Who
Very
cares?
feminine voice there. I'd say very feminine voice.
And that's
Um,
just one example of a few, and I'm, not even halfway through the game. And so, to me, it just kind of looks like you're kind of ignoring things to make that argument as well.
yeah. So it seems like she's wrapping up the real life stuff there to combined with playing the game and not really separating the two there.
Yeah.
And as a reviewer myself, when people I know when what was that? I think when the last Fantastic Beast movie came out. And there you did have critics come out and say that, well, I'm going to give it a negative review because I don't like J.K. Rowling, so I'm going to give it a negative review on purpose. I'm not even going to try to like it. I mean, I feel like if you're going to have that sentiment about it, which is understandable if you have maybe some certain feelings towards a person, given maybe certain views that they have. That's fine. But I don't think you should review the thing that they're doing. Then, if you already know you're going to be biased about it, I don't think you should be reviewing it. So if she already knew that, she's letting the outside kind of things she's hearing about this game studio kind of coming into her mind and while playing the game, and you're kind of coming into it with a little bit of a bias there. But so I think that shouldn't have been allowed if that was the case. And yeah, the cons, I mean, these are good cons. I mean, game performance is unpolished, gameplays becomes repetitive over time. That's fine. I mean, if you feel that way. And there's
Sure.
also had some good positive things to say about it. Like you said, combat is fluid, the cinematography, the way the game looks, the certain mechanics of the game, the combat of the game. That she praised that here. But also, this doesn't, one kind of mediocre review of it doesn't, like you said, shouldn't overshadow all the positivity that this game has gotten from all around. People were even mad that IGN, speaking about IGN, gave it an 8. IGN gave it an 8 out of
Which is a great. It says on their scale that means it was great.
Yeah. And they mentioned, and then somebody tried to contrast, like, well, in IGN China, they gave it a 10 out of 10, and then IGN, gave it a. So what does that tell you? You know what I mean?
It's
Um,
almost like these reviews are written by individual people with different opinions.
yeah. Exactly. I mean, some people are not going to feel all the same way about the game. So yeah, you did have the IGN, which is based here in America, the states. Person gave it an 8. IGN China gave it a 10. IGN Brazil, they gave it also an 8. So what does that tell you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely fucking nothing. The person that just reviewed it.
Get a
um,
tinfoil hat to just for this.
yeah. So that's something that people are going to be talking about just with the review. That hey, every people who don't like this game or people who don't give it a 10 out of 10, they must have some agenda against the game. The game is now wrapped up in the big culture war stuff there. And then also with this kind of news that also came about, and you looked a little bit further into this. So it says Black Myth Wukong, no feminist propaganda, no COVID-19 discussions. Email is real. And this is also Forbes again. It says a reported document regarding coverage for the upcoming Black Myth Wukong has been floating around the internet, making some very strange demands from creators in order to receive a code. It seemed almost too absurd to be true, but now I've been able to confirm with a US based creator I trust that it is in fact legitimate. A Google document attached to the email said the following about coverage: dues. Enjoy the game. Well, that's a simple one. Enjoy the game. Uh,
That's
uh,
easy.
don't insult other influencers or players. That seems kind of maybe reasonable there. Do not use any offensive language slash humor. Do not include politics, violence, nudity, feminist propaganda, fetishization, and other content that instigates negative discourse. Do not use trigger words such as quarantine or isolation or COVID-19. Do not discuss content related to China's game industry policies, opinions, news, etc. etc. This email was not sent to journalists, as some of them have said it's fake based on that. But it was for creators only. These guidelines may also have made it to all creators, or were sent out merely from requests for codes from those creators. There is no NDA required to accept the code. Um, yeah, so you looked a little bit into this. So it was mainly coming from the Chinese government, not necessarily the game developers there that were kind of offering this request.
Yeah, well, I mean, it comes, I think, from the government through the developer because, again, it's just a fact about doing business in China that, like, if you kind of aren't allowed to have a business without the government being involved to some degree, right? So there's kind of an immediate list of demands, just to establish a business, and yeah, these are definitely things that comes across as government propaganda, right? Like, don't talk about any of these things. We don't like this. Especially, don't talk about policies about how the government is involved with the studio. So some of that is the nature of, I think, doing business in China. But then I think the two big points. One, I looked into exactly like, well, if some journalists weren't getting this email, but then other people were, what is the difference? Why is there that difference? And to my understanding, this was not sent with review codes. This was sent with codes that were specifically for people creating like tutorial videos or like tip guides, how to sort of stuff. And, you know, I'm not going to say it's not silly at all, even for that. but I think it's at least slightly more understandable for like, hey, we're giving you this so that you can create a tutorial and show people how to play the game if they get stuck on something. You don't really need to be talking about anything other than how the game works if that's the specific intention of the video you're creating. Um, if now it sounds like review codes did not come with this, which means they weren't asking or putting restrictions on for a review of the game, which in theory could be a larger conversation, which you could bring some other stuff up if you really want to. But again, I mean, I'm still going to say it's a bit of a silly list of demands, and I think it's something that, sadly, when I saw it, I was like, yeah, it kind of seems like the CCP to me. It wasn't really something I was too surprised by. The other thing, though, is if that is the price of doing business with a Chinese company, don't take the free game. Like if that is too much of a demand, and you're like, hey, I'm not comfortable with you asking these things with me, don't take the free game. You could buy it or not play it, or if you really feel like you are like, no, I gotta make content about this, like I really gotta do that. I was really looking forward to that. Well, maybe this is one game that you buy yourself, and then you don't get a list of anything by purchasing it on your own. I don't know. I think there's quite a few ways around that conversation, or that necessarily being a big deal. But I also think a lot of people just maybe don't understand how business and the government's involvement in business works in China. And I'm no expert. I don't know a lot about it, but I know enough to know that this is not some kind of out there uniquely weird thing either.
Yeah. Do you think it's hypocritical for people that complain about Stellar Blade, saying that they're censoring titties,
Yes.
and then also not have an issue with this? You think? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, absolutely. If you were mad about the censored camel toe costume, and you're like, no, but this is fine. Yeah, if you were upset about that, then you should just you believe in whatever you believe in, but apply it to everything. Don't pick and choose. Otherwise, I know you have no principles.
Yeah. And my position on censorship, I mean, some censorship is depends, it's a case by case basis, right? I mean, obviously, I
Yeah,
mean, most things people can agree with is like, people understand why there's rating systems for movies, right? Why is
totally.
something PG-13? Why is something NC-17? Why is something R-rated? That's, you know, censored, you know what I mean? So you get that rating system because you don't want certain audiences to come into the theater to see a certain movie because of certain themes and things that are going to be there. So I think most people can agree on that, but I don't think people just think that censorship is just only things I don't like,
Right.
is censorship, and then the things I like is not censorship.
Yeah.
So there. So I mean, people, I mean, have a very loose definition of that, of understanding of that. It seems like. But yeah, but hey, but don't let this overshadow. Hey, go out there, enjoy the game. Don't let the whole culture war get you down there. Who's this a win for, the left or the right, or you know what I mean? Who's taking this game and claiming it as theirs? Good
They'll be
game.
fighting about something else in a week anyway.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Assassin's Creed Shadows coming out in a few months, so you're gonna forget all about Black Myth Wukong controversy, and the new shift is gonna be Assassin's Creed Shadow and how that game's gonna do, and if that game's gonna sell well, all that stuff like that. So you got, you ever see that meme of like the person with the chip inside the head, and you click it and you open it up and take it out and it clicks, like that's kind of gonna be like how it is, to me.
Yep.
Black Myth Wukong, take it out, take out that chip, put in Assassin's Creed Shadows, close it. That's gonna be what it kind of happens there. But yeah, getting universal praise out right now. I guess maybe you would say probably get it on consoles, not really PCs there if people
I
have.
mean, I've had no issues. I think I've yet to hear whether or not, because pretty much all games do universally have day one patches. So all of the reviews that mention technical or performance issues are from before the launch day. So also before the day one patch would have come out. So it's entirely possible that on launch day, that day one patch came out and fixed all those technical performance problems. It's also possible that they're still persisting in the PC version. It's also possible that in the console version I'm playing, they will pop up further on into the game as I get further and further in. So that happens sometimes, where like the first couple sections are super smooth, and then maybe as it goes along, some of those issues start to show itself. It's possible that's going to happen. I just can say right now, I have not had any of those issues at like the 12-hour mark.
Yeah. So this review for Screen Rant, they said that the person played it on PC. Says Black Myth Wukong recommends the minimum processor is Intel Core i5 8400, AMD Ryzen 5 1600. The recommended processor, and the person who used it tested it on. They had an Intel Core i7 9700, and they were still having issues. So maybe the patch will come out, like you said, fix a lot of those issues for people that are playing on PC and make it a little bit more of an enjoyable experience there for them. So yeah, Black Myth Wukong, initial impressions, news on that. All right, moving on. We're going into a little bit of news here. So Gamescom, Gamescom 2024 is happening. How long of an event is it? It's
Yeah, it was like an hour and a half, the opening night live, the big show. And then I think tonight there's like an hour-long show that's like an indie thing. And then I want to say it's like two or three more days after that. But I think those other 2 or 3 days are mostly like on the show floor, people doing the cosplay booths that people are going to go play demos at. As far as announcements go, I think it was just yesterday. And then there might be some more indie stuff later today or tonight, or yeah, I think that should be it.
okay. So we're just going to discuss some announcements of Gamecom so far here. Things we're looking forward to. They just announced Borderlands. So Borderlands 4. They just announced that.
Borderlands 4.
Probably the worst time to announce it, given that the movie's out right now. But people are pretty sour on Borderlands. But yeah, and you're not really into these. These are looter shooters. You said you're not really.
Yeah, it's never been my genre. Not that I don't think that there's anything to them or that I think they're bad. I don't know. It's always it's the kind of style of game that just doesn't really do a lot for me.
Yeah. I've never played Borderlands before, so I can't really give my opinion on it. This game, it's never really been, yeah, like I said, something at least for me there. As
I
far as
did
just
actually. I will say I played one Borderlands game, and it was the Telltale kind of that Walking Dead style game that was like
okay,
story driven. So it was a completely different thing. But I did think the writing and the humor in that was really good. I don't know if Borderlands fans like that game or if it's too much of a departure from the main franchise, but I thought that was pretty good.
okay, yeah. So they did announce that, so people are excited for Borderlands. They do have a fourth one coming out there. They do have that kind of happening there. Um, let's see here. What else we got? Civilization 7. Excuse me. Uh, yes. Civilization 7 here. You also don't play these type of games. These are very much, yeah.
Yeah, I don't myself, but I do have one of my co-hosts who's this is his kind of thing. He's into spreadsheets. That's the only kind of games he plays. So I know at least one person that's going to be all about it.
Yeah. And that's Alex, right? Alex loves the spreadsheets.
Yeah, he's super into that kind of thing.
Okay. All right. And we also have a trailer. Now, this is a show that's going to be coming out, an Amazon series.
Yeah,
Now, this
very
one,
interesting.
this looks very interesting. So, this is an anthology series, and it's from the creators of Love, Death, and Robots, which I still have not seen. I've heard very much positive things about Love, Death, and Robots. Have you ever seen that?
I think I saw some of the first season, but I need to go back and check out more of it. I haven't seen too much.
So what this show is, it's an anthology series for video games. So it's called Secret Level, and it says it will include 15 episodes total that will feature stories from games like God of War, Warhammer 40K, and plenty more. And also in the trailer, you also saw stuff like Sifu was in there, which I'm a big fan of that game. So let's play the trailer for this, because yeah, this sounds like a really exciting concept here for this. And it's by the people who did an anthology series, Love, Death, and Robots, which got a lot of positive reactions. Let's take a look at this trailer. Have you already seen a trailer? This trailer?
I have seen the trailer. I watched the full Gamescom opening night live show yesterday.
Okay, let's take a look.
It's time.
And that's Sifu right there.
This world has waited for your arrival.
This game, I think, is what? That's Fable, maybe? What is
I believe that is
No Man's?
No Man's Sky. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what character that game. I don't
Your
know what
rival.
character he's from, but the guy with the beard, the one with console on him.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
Okay.
It is you. You will open the door. Because you are the chosen. All those moments.
The effects look really good on this too. I mean, a lot of the animation
Yeah,
really good.
I mean it's from an animation studio that works on like in-game cinematics and cutscenes for
Mm.
different studios. So it's taking like what already is the technology used to create cutscenes in video games and just going like, let's just make like short films using those in-game kind of quality graphics.
Yeah, and people do that. People do go on YouTube and will watch just the whole cinematic of the video game, like Last of Us. They'll just click and they'll show the whole cinematic stuff and get the whole story that way. So there are people who do enjoy that, just looking at the whole cinematics of video games.
It's a new adventure.
What is that?
Mega Man?
Adventure. It's a new.
I'm not sure about that one.
Mm, hmm. I don't know this one. And
Yeah, not off the top of my head at least.
It's a new adventure.
that's Mega Man right there. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Kratos
Kratos,
in there.
God of
Just
War. I
Ghost
think
of
Ghost of
Tsushima.
Tsushima, I think was also there.
Yeah, totally.
So a lot of games.
Warhammer 40K.
Hmm.
Come in. You have a game to play.
Yeah. This is impressive. Yeah. December 10th is when this is coming out. Very,
Yeah.
very impressive stuff there. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I think it seems pretty cool. I like the idea of it just being an anthology. We're doing short film type stuff. Um, we've started to get progress on video game adaptations and some of them being a little higher quality. They're not all bad like they used to be. But I think it's really nice to see more of them done as animation because personally, I think I'll always prefer seeing video games adapted into animation. But to see technology that actually is used to create games carried over to facilitate that adaptation, I think that's a really smart choice. Yeah, I'm right here day one to check this out.
Yeah, it's exciting. Love the look of it. Like I said, they got real people from who do the in-game cinematics of this to come and do this show with the animation here. So that's very good there. The variety of different games that are here that you see. Wondering how they were able to do that rights wise, work
Yeah,
it out. All these different kind of video game characters that came and did this there, and what the stories are going to be there. So have you read anything else about it? Like, is it going to be stories that are like within the game, as far as the canon of the game, or is it going to be stuff that's just like a side quest stuff, or
I
you know?
tried to read up a little bit about it, but I wasn't able to get anything concrete about that. It seems like they might just be kind of their own little short stories,
Okay.
but nothing too concrete or definitive, at least that I've seen.
And are the writers of the games coming and writing these episodes?
That I also have not heard.
Mm.
So it's possible, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. So in case people missed it, because they kind of flashed it real quick there, all the different games there. So this is the list of games that are going to be featured. So you have Pac-Man, you got Warhammer 40K, you got Concord. I don't know Concord myself there.
Oh, that's that new one that's about to fail.
Okay, what is this about?
So they showed it at we looked at it a little bit a couple months
Oh,
ago. It was that
okay.
like 5v5 hero shooter that it started with like kind of a Guardians of the Galaxy-esque kind of cutscene, and then it was like, oh, this could this be interesting? And then immediately after it was like, oh, it's a 5v5 hero shooter. And it's not even free to play. It costs $40, and then it also has the microtransactions in it. I don't think this game's going to do very well personally. It's during its free beta, it was like 2,000 or less than 2,000 total players, and that was when it was free. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to do great.
Oh, yeah, I do remember. Yeah, the fake ass Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay.
Exactly.
You got fake ass Gamora mixed with Yondu, mixed with Chris Pratt here. You got Drax. Okay, yeah, I do remember this. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So and then also let's see what else you have here. Conco, you got Mega Man, which saw Unreal Tournament.
Hmm.
You got New World that's also here. Armored Core is also here. Splinky, Honor of Kings, Seafood
I did
Dungeon.
hear that Keanu Reeves is going to be in the Armored Core episode.
Okay, let's see. I think I did see him on the list of in one of the thumbnails for one of the list of videos here. Keanu Reeves here. Um, yeah, so that's nice there. Okay, Keanu Reeves getting a little bit more into video games there.
Yeah,
Maybe
something that's not Cyberpunk.
Hideo Kojima will snatch him up, put him in a video game there.
I'm shocked he hasn't already, to be honest.
Let's see. Dungeons and Dragons, The Outer Worlds, Crossfire, Exodus. Okay. Do you know pretty much all these games? Majority of these games?
I've at least heard of all. I think pretty much all of them. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's all the games featured there. All right. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. That's the Indiana Jones video game coming out. They also showed a trailer at Gamescom. And now this is a release date trailer, so we do know the release date of the game. And it is so the game isn't coming out until it says 2025. At least for the
So there's two
PS.
things.
Yeah, yeah, the
Well, so this is
PS5.
interesting because this game was an Xbox exclusive until yesterday, right? This one of the studios that Xbox purchased when they purchased Bethesda. Um, so it seems everybody kind of assumes this is an Xbox game. That's kind of it. But in the last year, we've started seeing this shift of Xbox kind of maybe going multi-platform. So the PlayStation 5 version will be coming out spring of next year. But it's only a timed exclusivity window. So
Yeah,
we are going to be seeing it on Xbox sooner, but the PlayStation version, which again we only just found out that it even exists, they'll be coming like 6 months after its initial release.
yeah. In 2025. So the Xbox is coming out. Version of the game is coming out in December 9th of this year. So it is coming out this year. But the other version that people wanted to is the PS5 version is coming out in 2025. They're kind of close to spring territory in 2025 is when that game's coming
It'll
out.
be like late March or April, and that's what I'm guessing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we talked about this trailer before. Does this kind of? I mean, it's showing a little bit more gameplay, a little bit more footage. Any thoughts on this?
I'm probably not too much different from what I've said before. I mean, I think this looks like a really solid game. I like Machine Games work a lot. They did the Wolfenstein, the New Order, and the New Colossus. They did not do the Young Blood game, which some people were not huge fans of. That was Arcane Austin that primarily handled development on that. So I think Machine Games has a great track record. Really like their work. They've made like the best games about killing Nazis in recent memory. So give them Indiana Jones, kill some more Nazis. I don't see what could go wrong here.
Yeah.
I think this looks awesome.
Looks fun. Looks fun. Maybe get some good puzzle mechanics kind of going on. Um, I mean, do you like it being in first person? Do you wish it was more in third person?
I mean,
Over the
in
shoulder?
my mind, I would think third person initially, just because I want to see the character. But it's also, hey, they got Machine Games to develop it, and first person is what I know that they are really, really good at. So I want them to do what they're good at. They have worked in some third person elements into the game too. So like certain like vehicle sections or traversal sequences are in third person, even though kind of your primary combat and puzzle stuff is in first person. So they've even found a way to mix them together just a little bit. But ultimately, like, I think there's a chance that if they felt the pressure to do it in third person, they haven't made a third person game before. Maybe it wouldn't have been as good or as rock solid mechanically. So I think it's good that they're sticking to their strength.
Oh, yeah. So December 9th is coming out on Xbox, PC, and then PlayStation 5, 2025. So people PlayStation gotta wait a little bit.
That'll
Uh,
be me.
yeah, gotta wait a little bit to play it there. Genshin Impact, that's what showed there. Are you care much about Genshin Impact?
Never checked it out really. I know it's popular. It's kind of a popular live service game. I know it's on mobile devices and consoles. Really couldn't tell you too much about it. It's got kind of the cutesy anime designs that kind of make me bounce off of anime sometimes. So it's not super appealing to me, at least on its surface. But
Okay. The next Dying Light. There.
I've
From
never played a Dying Light game myself. Open world kind of parkour based zombie survival stuff. There's certainly an audience for this. It's not necessarily me, but it's definitely popular, and I think it is for a reason.
This is the third entry in the Dying Light series. There, we'd already saw a trailer for this at the other games conference. There, what was the other one? We saw this trailer. I saw a
Did
different
we?
trailer.
It might have been. It also might have just been another zombie game. Sometimes they really blend together.
Oh yeah, because this is the reveal trailer. So yeah, I think it was maybe I'm thinking I'm mixing up with another zombie kind of game there.
There's a lot of them that look kind of the same.
Goat Simulator remastered announced there. Did you send this one to me in the Discord, right?
I did not, but I mean, I do enjoy the Goat Simulator stuff. It's stupid. It's so stupid, but I think it's stupid in a intentional, entertaining way. I've played a decent amount of the original. They made a three without making a two. So they're all over the place in terms of what they're doing. I'm sure they'll add a bunch of new content in here. They're a super goofy game studio. It's just weird for the sake of being weird. I
So
don't
what
know.
is this about?
Uh, that's a difficult question to answer. I mean, really, to me, it seems it's just a playground to just mess around with kind of an intentionally glitchy presentation of a video game. It's just it's weird. It's just super weird. You just play as a goat that can just wreak havoc and just destroy things. And I don't know. It's one of those things I kind of feel like you have to play it to really get a feel or an understanding for it. It's just chaos. As far as like there's not too many games that I would say are like comedy video games. That is one of them. It's just purely focused on being silly and just goofy fun time.
It says the original Goat Simulator game is getting an official remaster, simply titled Goat Simulator Remastered. There are already a surprising number of Goat Simulator games available, but the remaster of the popular game from 2014 will be more than just improved graphics. All of the DLC that has been released for the game will also be available, part of a new version, including one DLC that has only previously available on the mobile version. So is this like a parody type game of like other kind of video game? Okay.
I, yeah, of all the video games, pop culture in general, it's just weird
Mm,
nonsense. A chunk of the time.
okay.
It would be a very hard game to do a review for because it's just so weird that it would be hard to evaluate.
Then there's also new Mario Kart Lego.
Hey.
There. That short though there. I mean, combine two things kids really love: Legos
Yeah,
and Mario.
I guarantee it's gonna sell well.
Oh yeah, it's probably gonna sell super well there. What was do you remember when the last Mario racing game came out? That game was what? Mario Kart 8. When did that game come out?
It came out on the Wii U in like 2014, 2015, something like that.
Yeah,
And
you got a
then when
good
the
memory.
Switch came out, they ported it over to the Switch, and then they released like DLC, like expansions and new tracks and characters and stuff. But yeah, it's been a really long time since they released like a new Mario Kart game.
Yeah, it's been 10 years since the last Mario Kart
Wow.
game came out, and they ported it over to the Switch. 2017 is when they did that.
Damn.
And yeah, so that's when they did that there. Yeah. And then you also want to talk about a game called Reanimal. There.
Yeah, it looks like it's at the end of the announcement list on that page there because there was definitely some more stuff that's not listed there. Reanimal was a big one for me.
Let me pull up a trailer for Reanimal here. Let me pull up the trailer you sent here.
So this is the studio that made the Little Nightmares games. I don't know if you're very familiar, but they originally created the like PSP spin-off for Little Big Planet, and then Little Nightmares was kind of them taking some of the aesthetics of Little Big Planet and making like kind of a cute but scary horror game out of some of the aesthetics for it. And this I mean, this looks like it might be taking place in that same universe, but it is kind of. It looks like it's evolving and doing a little more like I don't know, weird body horror with like animals and stuff. It's got a really great atmosphere here, I think, though.
Mm. And what do you do in this game?
Well, in the first two Little Nightmares games, like I said, I don't know if this is going to be exactly that or how different it'll be from those. But you know, it's mostly puzzle solving and stealth. There's not much in the way of combat. You're not like fighting back against things too much. It's mostly about getting away from them. So there's lots of
Uh,
chase sequences. You're sneaking around, kind of stealth mechanics. Like, yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Um, but and then yeah, and then like puzzle mechanics. So it's a really cool little series. I highly recommend it to anybody. It's really solid.
yeah. Yeah, this also showed very creepy looking visuals. I would say that. I've seen different games, kind of like it looks like you kind of yeah, just mostly avoiding things, puzzle solving. It looks like kind of the same vibe here.
There's kind
Um,
of a whole genre of like child character lost in a horrifying nightmare world. Like Limbo was maybe the first one of those way back on
yeah,
like the Xbox Live Arcade, and then you had like Inside. And then there's been some other stuff since then. But yeah, Little Nightmares, this being like a spiritual sequel or maybe a direct sequel to Little Nightmares, is very interesting. I mean, they also have they showed another trailer for this too at the same show yesterday. But then a different team, Supermassive, the team that made Until Dawn, is doing a Little Nightmares 3. So that series is also getting a sequel at the same time that the original team is doing this other thing.
another game you wanted to talk about that gets shown at Gamescom, Mafia: The Old Country. There, and
Yeah.
and they just released Mafia the definitive edition on I think Game Pass. I think they just released that on
Did
there.
they? Okay.
I think they just did that.
I think I bought it that when it came out in 2020 is the like the remake of the first game.
This
Um,
ours. It's a brotherhood. Treachery and deceit do not exist among us. Do you wish to commit yourself, your life, to this family?
So this is mostly just a cinematics, not any gameplay. It's just
yeah, it's just
a
a teaser, just an announcement thing.
yeah. I'll make you an offer you can't refuse. All right.
You're like
So
channeling the Brando of it all. I think the
uh,
cool thing though is it does tell you a setting for the franchise, which I think is cool because it's always been like a U.S. right, a U.S. based thing. This will be like actually set in Sicily, like pre World War One. So I do think just even just telling you like the setting, I think that is a really cool move for the franchise to make.
yeah. And then the end of it just says see more December 2024. So we're gonna get probably more footage there. What's the big game conference happening in December? Do you know?
Um, Game Awards is the only thing or no, but that's usually November. So actually, I guess I'm not sure then. Yeah, Game Awards is usually November. Sometimes there's a Sony thing in September that comes and goes. There's Tokyo Game Show, which should be in September next month as well. But yeah, I can't think of anything. And it might just be they're going to put footage of it out, and maybe it's not at like a show. They might just release it online.
Okay. Yeah. Um, are you a big fan of the Mafia series, Mafia games? Do you have a favorite
You know,
one? Or?
I don't think probably the first one. I mean, maybe that's because of the remake as well, bringing it up graphically so well. But I really like the writing in the games. You know, sometimes the gameplay is a little basic in them, but I think the storytelling has always been really on point. I thought the third one, to the last like new release game, it was kind of that exact thing where it's like the gameplay is a bit repetitive, and I don't love the way it feels to play all the time. But I thought it was really strong storytelling of like 1960s kind of New Orleans setting. just yeah, a great kind of environment and world. And then I thought the remake was really well done. I mean, I'm a big fan of the classic kind of mobster stuff. Um, but then
Yeah,
also
got a
doing
guy
it
getting
like
shanked right there.
there you go. Yeah, so I think this is a franchise that the storytelling and the voice acting and the writing is always a lot stronger than the gameplay. But I've always felt like the that stuff is so strong that I'm kind of willing to put up with the gameplay being a little behind to experience the story of it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I've heard about the Mafia series, but never played it. But since the definitive edition is moved to Game Pass, I might check it out there.
I
Uh,
will warn you against playing the definitive edition for the second game. The first game, it's a full remake of the like PS2 original. The second one was more just a remaster, and it's kind of like the GTA trilogy they put out a year or two ago, where it's just kind of a mess. Like for the second game, you'd be better off trying to actually get like the older version of it.
okay, so get Mafia 2 and 3.
Yeah, Mafia 2 and 3 go with like the classic version, I guess, or like the for initial version. The definitive edition of the first game is very good. It's the specifically the definitive edition of the second game that's kind of a buggy mess.
Okay, gotcha. All right, make sure to look out for that then. Is there anything else you want to talk about for Gamescom?
Let's see. I'm looking through the list of things here, and nothing that's jumping out at me. I mean, we did get like a new trailer for the Dragon Ball Sparking Zero game. I mean, that's coming up on the horizon pretty soon. Nothing like too out there or like memorable otherwise for me. I guess the only other big trailer, it wasn't a Gamescom, but it was like it was like the same day they did drop a new Silent Hill 2 trailer. So not Gamescom, I guess, but that was like a big thing the same day. So that's the only other game I can give you.
Yeah. And this Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, this is just showing the characters that are going to be. It's a character trailer
Okay,
there.
yeah, it's just more of the characters and stuff and
Yeah.
transformations. I mean, I expect this to probably be a pretty big game. I mean, it's a
Oh yeah.
sequel to the last one came out in 2007, I think.
Yeah. People love
So
Dragon Ball, man.
people do. I mean, I even like these games, even though I'm not a big fan of the show.
Yeah, games are fun. Yeah, it looks great. It looks great too. This game there.
They've
Yeah, is
gotten
nobody
really
playing
good, kind of. Oh, sorry.
uh Dragon Ball Fighters anymore? Nobody's playing that anymore. Not a high
Um,
level.
yeah, I don't know. I assume it's still at like the tournaments and stuff, but I guess it's been God, that game did come out in like what 2018 now, so
Mm,
I guess the online servers probably aren't super active anymore.
yeah, yeah, Dragon Ball Fighters. Yeah, game did come out like a minute ago.
It's like
Let's see.
April 2018, maybe March,
Yeah, you got a good
April,
memory. Yeah, it was January 2018.
January. Okay,
January 2018 there.
I
That game.
remember I got into the beta for that one. I played a lot of that before it even came out.
Yeah. And then like I said, there was a new Silent Hill trailer right there, not at Gamescom, but just showing some more footage on this. What
This
is
is,
that?
I think, by far
Still,
the best trailer they've put out for this game so far.
yeah. And this is just setting up. This is a story trailer there, getting you introduced there to what's kind of going to be happening in the game. A little bit more of the character models here. Was anybody bitching about the character models after this trailer or no?
I haven't heard anybody complaining after this one.
Okay.
This honestly, from what I can tell, I've been looking online just to see kind of what the reception. This seems like it's the trailer that's finally won everyone over.
Okay.
I think this game. I mean, obviously, there are the people who are just bitching to bitch because they always do. But there's certainly a healthy amount of skepticism going into a remake of something that is considered to be such a masterpiece and a classic as the original version Silent Hill 2 is. So like I get there's some skepticism. A lot of people are very unsure. But I think this trailer really seemed to win a lot of people over from the music, the voice acting that's on display in this trailer, kind of the way the cinematography or kind of shot composition of the way everything is framed. And Silent Hill 2 especially, and all really Silent Hill in general, is something that it's much more focused on its atmosphere and its storytelling and its characters than it is in its gameplay and its combat. And to be fair, a lot of the footage and trailers we've seen up until this point have been very focused on a little bit more in the way of gameplay, and maybe not such a focus on story. And so I guess maybe the reason this trailer is winning people over so much is it's finally kind of showing a lot of the thing that made the original special. And it now that people can see, okay, it looks like they are nailing that. Now people are really getting excited for it.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. And when is this coming out again?
Coming out October 8th. I believe if you have I think they're doing that like early access pre-order thing where like I think you get to play it on like the 6th or like late night on the 5th if you have a pre-order for it. I mean,
Have you
this after
pre-ordered?
Black Myth, I may have. I
Okay.
don't like to normally, but this and Black Myth were kind of the two big games I was looking forward to for this year. Um, so I mean, like I said, the original Silent Hill 2 I think widely is considered a masterpiece of a game. I would consider it a masterpiece of its time. And if this can nail that translation into a modern version of that game and tell that story just with the modern presentation, I think it is easily could it be my favorite horror game of all time. The original version of two already is right up there. So if this can improve on that, then it's like a clear #1 horror game ever made for me.
Mm, okay. Perfect time for spooky season, October 8th this year. Silent Hill's coming out. Silent Hill 2. And that was news for Gamescom there. Yeah. And then so it's gonna be so we covered what happened basically opening night,
Yep.
and then they're gonna have another event tonight, and then another one tomorrow, and then they're gonna do the Gamescom award show.
Okay.
There. So yeah, I'm gonna show that one there. And then some other games there, some big ones. Monster Hunter Wild. I heard some people talking about that one.
Huge franchise. I've never been into it, but like it. I mean, it's again popular for a reason, right?
Yeah. Then there was also I heard people kind of bitching about the character models in that game, something or another.
Oh, were they? It's
Um,
now that they focus on that, not on Silent Hill 2 anymore. They gotta they gotta move to something.
uh, then also Marvel Rivals. There has been a release date now for Marvel Rivals, so it's coming out in
Yeah, yeah.
December 6th. So that has
Yeah.
a release date now. They talked about that. I might. I mean, it's free. I don't know. I'll pick it up. I'll pick it up, play it.
If you want me to do a review, I'll play it. I will.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Have you ever tried playing a game like that with at least other people? You know.
I have. I have. I like. Hey, I played Helldivers too, right?
Yeah.
Thought it was fun. After 5 hours, I was like, I'm good. I don't need it anymore.
Also, Starship Troopers Extermination is supposed to be showing at the Gamescom there. Speaking of
Mm,
Helldivers, I mean that's basically they already kind of did a Starship Troopers game
pretty
already
much. I
there.
wonder how successful it can be since Helldivers maybe stole that thunder already.
Then they also talk about Batman. They're going to talk about Batman Arkham Shadow.
Oh,
Um,
that's a VR game. So they did have a trailer for that at the show yesterday, but I mean, it looks, if you're into VR stuff, you're super into that tech. I'm sure it's probably fun enough, but it looks, I don't know. It still has that feeling of it's just kind of a gimmick gameplay to me. But
yeah, yeah, just VR. Yeah, I don't really care about that. Then,
there's
uh,
only been one game that has so far made that technology feel like a fully fleshed out platform, and that's that Half-Life game that came out like 4 or 5 years ago. And that seems to be one of a kind. Like there's still nothing else really that's done that for the platform, at least as far as I'm aware.
what about didn't an Alien game do VR? I heard that was pretty good, right? That Alien game.
I think there's a new one coming out, but I don't think it's out yet.
Oh, okay.
I want to say that if you had the MetaQuest or some of the PC VRs, I think you could play Alien Isolation in VR, but it was a game that was like not exclusively made for it. It's like you could do either version.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So yeah, and Gamescom. If there's any more news, we'll come back. Yeah, and report on that. So yeah. All right, let's get into some a little bit more news here. Um, let's see here. I don't know if you want to. Let's cover the Beau DeMayo. Let's see what let me set that up here. So X-Men 97, huge hit of the year there. Some people say it's one of the best shows of the year. I greatly enjoyed it quite a bit. I mean, I think that a lot of people going like have high expectations, like, hey, is it gonna be just as good as the X-Men the animated series, which is a classic animated series there. And I would say it exceeded all expectations. I mean, a lot of people really praised it. The show, the writing of the show, the different storylines there. I was a huge fan of it, and you were as well, Sage.
Yeah, I loved it. I was every week. It was like being a kid again, getting to watch the show. Definitely one of my favorite things that's come out this year, and I think, to be honest, I think it's outside of maybe the Legion TV series, it's kind of maybe my favorite X-Men thing to come out in the last like 24 years.
Yeah, people really praise. It's like finally somebody understands these characters and writing them on screen there. And a lot of the motivation behind that, what people think with a person by the name of Bo DeMaio, who was the creator. He was the main head of X Men '97. And then before the show even aired, there was reports that he got kicked off, and then a lot of people going like, "Well, why did he get kicked off? Like, what happened?" It was kind of a lot of rumors were circulating about it. He kind of went ghost a little bit on social media for a bit, but now we actually do have the reason of why he was let go there of it, and why they kind of decided to let him go with X Men '97. Um, so it says right here, yeah, he was stripped of season 2 credits, cites erroneous investigation findings here. So, um, Bo DeMayo reportedly he was abusive to the staff, which is kind of a rumor that we heard before there about his behavior. But he also there was a lot of sexual misconduct going on that he was saying, sending nude photos to coworkers there, making sexual advances to coworkers there. And he also did respond to this as well with his lawyer, which I'm gonna read there as well. And we're gonna get into that. But now we kind of have a little bit more kind of understanding of why, because he also has an OnlyFans. Some people were saying that maybe was why he got fired uh, because of that. But he had already had that before he even got hired. So it's like, why would they fire him from something? They must have known that he already had that before. So
Yeah.
there was that there. But this was the Hollywood Reporter here. People can go check out this article. Um, you know what I mean? And it's a lot of Marvel talking about like getting into details about exactly kind of what happened there. And all kind of stuff like that. And then, so this is in the article. It says Marvel responded by saying DeMaio behavior was the cause of his firing for him losing his credits. DeMaio was terminated in March 2024 following an internal investigation, said the Marvel spokesperson in a statement given to erroneous nature of the findings. We severed ties with him immediately, and he has no further affiliation with Marvel. Sources say that following his excellent agreement was reached between the two parties over the issue of tweeting about the show, something that DeMaio had continued to occasionally do in light of the breaches. His credit for season 2 was removed, while no details of the cause of the termination or the internal reviews have surfaced. Sources say it involves sexual misconduct there, and DeMaio did not immediately return a request for comment. DeMaio was an avid social media user during his tenure at Marvel, sharing X-Men tidbits as well as shirtless pics of himself, and even running a non-explicit OnlyFans account. This all led the LGBTQ publication out to declare him the sexy gay Marvel writer and showrunner to know. On the surface, the notion that Marvel would strip DeMaio of credit due to social media posts would stretch the credibility. Outside observers note the gay pride illustration similar to any number of posts he's made while employed at Marvel, and fired Marvel executive Victoria Olanoso retained credit on projects she previously worked on following her exit in 2023. But the reveal of an internal investigation points to deeper causes there. So, what are your thoughts here on that?
Well, before any of this came out, you don't want to necessarily assume what went down, but just based on how it went and how long it took them to say something, and the fact that it was before the show came out, and then even after the show had this great success and people were talking and wondering, you kind of maybe had to figure it was something along the lines of sexual misconduct, just because, what else? I mean, there's verbal abuse, and certainly you can be grind your staff, but just based on the level of completely ignoring it that went on for so long, you kind of assumed it was something along these lines, which is it's really unfortunate. It's too bad. Um, I, you know, I assume that there's a huge team. I don't know how many people, but there's a massive team of people behind the show. Um, so it's always unfortunate when someone, regardless of whether they're involved with something that you care about or are interested in, does something like that. But I think, for his own sake, continuing to kind of poke at the company afterwards probably wasn't the best idea, especially if they were being pretty quiet until he started complaining about the credit being taken off. So I don't know. I don't know. It seems like, maybe for his sake, he probably should have stayed quiet. For the public's sake, in terms of not supporting someone that does stuff like that, a good thing that we know now. But I don't know. It's an unfortunate situation. You hate to see it.
So his lawyer responded, his lawyer, Brian Friedman here, who's a veteran attorney lawyer, has taken on Bodemeo as a client. He said that having much experience with Disney, the playbook is always the same: family friendly on the outside, but secretly attempting to plant illegal, unconscionable items in contracts that silence the truth and stop the employee/customer from asserting basic constitutional rights. As we will explain through detailed examples, which we will roll out in detail one by one. Disney's model is very clear and repetitive illegal pattern. Now, Disney is a pretty fucked up company. I mean, there's even
Oh
just
yeah.
something recently where one of the people they died at a Disney restaurant, and then the wife was trying to sue, and then they say like, well, because the husband was a subscriber of Disney Plus, like he basically signed up to die there, so you can't.
I'm sorry. What?
You haven't heard about that news story there?
I guess that somehow I've missed this one.
Let me see here. I should have also added it to the slate here. You know what I mean? Let me see if I can pull up the news story. But there was, yeah, something that happened here. So this is the story right here. So it says Disney drops request to have wrongful death lawsuit tossed over Disney Plus subscription. Disney had argued plaintiff agreed to settle any lawsuits out of court when signing up for Disney Plus. There, so you have that. So at first, it says Disney is no longer asking a Florida court to dismiss a wrongful death lawsuit on the grounds that the victim's family has signed up for its streaming service Disney Plus. So that was kind of the whole thing there, and a lot of people are calling Disney out on this, saying that, I mean, if you basically signed up for Disney Plus, you basically signed up to die. Basically,
So
um,
is there something specific in the terms and conditions that's like, hey, you can't blame us for dying however it happens? Like,
I guess it's something they're saying something specific in the terms of service when you sign up for Disney Plus about lawsuits, about kind of what goes on there. And the person died because um they were ordering an item off the menu that was he has an allergy, and then they gave him
oh,
something that he was allergic to, and then he died because of that. And then so it says right here, so it says the Piccolos, who's the lawsuit, the family here claims the family had decided to eat at Wrangell Road in October because it was billed on Disney's website having a free food there right there. So that was kind of billed that way, so they got something, and then he, got sick there, and he had a severe allergy to nuts and dairy products there, and the waiter had assured them her food was prepared without, allergens, the lawsuit states there.
wow.
Uh, so
I'm pretty sure that like 10 years ago, there was a South Park episode that was basically this situation, but as like an extreme parody of satire that was hey, this isn't happening, but I guess reality keeps catching up.
But yeah, so that kind of so they did drop that. So I don't know if they're just gonna end up giving the family money because I mean, it's not like they don't have the money yet
Right, exactly.
to
They
spend
can
there
afford it.
to spend there. Yeah. But yeah, Bo DeMayo, he's got his credit taken off in season 2. A lot of people kind of nervous about coming into season 2 because if he was like one of the main creatives behind it, is it going to have that same energy that season 1 had? Is B as good?
Yeah.
Are you nervous about season 2 now that you know? I mean, when
I mean, I remember reading that he had written all the scripts for season 2 before that firing happened. Not that, there's a lot of steps between script and the final version. There's a lot of kind of directing notes and stuff that he would have been involved with as well. So it's still not necessarily, still certainly being removed from a lot of the process. But I do think kind of having that basically the same team at least do all the scripts first, I feel like is a pretty good sign for the show. Um, I would be more wondering how season 3 would look more so than season 2, honestly.
Hmm. Yeah, I think maybe season 3 will be the true testament there to see how that. And I don't know. I don't know how much of his vision will be in season 2. Like I said, there's a
Right,
lot of
they could
change.
change things too.
Yeah, heavy change things from a lot of the different rewrites, drafts, all that type of stuff there. But I mean, hey, if it's true that there was a lot of sexual misconduct kind of going on, there was a lot of abuse as far as the writers and staff on the show, and he did a lot of that, then yeah, I mean, it makes sense that he kind of got dropped there. I mean, Disney, I mean, but it doesn't. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he was raising trouble, and you could say that, and then Disney was like, okay, we'll find something on you, exaggerate it, and then. But they
Right.
said that there were a lot of people that went to HR about him and his behavior.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine what he would do necessarily that would get him in the crosshairs of Disney that go like, okay, we got to fire this dude and find something on him. Unless I don't know, maybe he's trying to start a union or something like that. I don't know. Maybe he's trying to do something.
He might have just said the word union one time, and that might have been enough.
Yeah, unless he was trying to do something like that, that would make kind of sense there. But yeah, so now at least we know. I mean, a little bit more. I mean, it's still kind of a rumor there because we still. I mean, it's not really confirmed there.
Not like there's been proof.
Yeah, there's been no people he's worked with that have come out and said anything about that. I mean, he probably can't anyway. But
Probably all under their own NDAs.
yeah, probably can't anyway there. But yeah, so see that with that. So that was the Bo DeMayo news there. And we'll do this final news and then we'll head out of here. So legendary voice actor passed away. Suko Tananaka there, who was a game and anime voice actor. She passed away at the age of 61 years old there.
Shame.
Are you very familiar with her work there?
Yeah, I mean, I actually have a little list of stuff that I can call right here, but she very famously was in The Ghost in the Shell. That's probably one of the biggest things that people might know her from. But just for a couple other little things, there was an animated Bayonetta film back in like 2010 near the original games release. She did the voice of Bayonetta in the Japanese dub. Perhaps that she was the Japanese voice in the video games as well. That I'm not totally sure about. She was also Hanami in the Jujutsu Kaisen series, the of the kind of gang of curses, the one that had like the tree branches coming out of its eyes. That was like the plants kind of curse. She was also she's also in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure as a character named Lisa back in kind of the early first season of that show. And then there's a couple characters that I don't recognize myself on here, but she was Conan in Naruto. That's one I'm not familiar with myself, but I assume it's a big one for a lot of people. I probably also pronounced it wrong. But yeah, I mean, she's a ton of stuff here. I'll pull up some of the games as well, but she was a big deal.
So this is a little bit of her voice work here as Lisa. Let's play a little bit of this here.
私は今機嫌が悪い。お前のような
The dubbed or sub version of JoJo.
That's the subbed version.
You know what I'm saying? What do you listen to?
Oh, I just listened to the subbed version. I haven't watched much of the dub for JoJo.
下品者とは口も聞きたくないし顔も見たくない。でも抱きしめるというなら試してみなさい。後悔しながら死んでもいいならね。
And what is the character Lisa? Lisa, what is what type of character is she?
Um, yeah, every time you try and describe anything in JoJo to someone that hasn't seen it, you end up sounding like you're having a stroke. But bear with me. Uh, so these she is like a magic sunlight karate master that teaches people how to do magic sunlight karate to fight these Aztec vampire gods.
Okay.
That's like a basic idea. It sounds completely off its rocks. I mean, even if you have seen it, it still sounds off its rocks. But
And so she was also Bayonetta as well in the anime. Did you ever seen the Bayonetta anime?
I have seen the. I've only watched it in the English dub, but because they used the same voice actors from the game, at least for the English version. But I've definitely watched that. That's a pretty solid anime movie, honestly.
Mhm. Yeah. And she was battling a undisclosed illness. She's been dealing with
Hmm.
for the past year, so she passed away from that. But anime, video games, tons of different material she was in and used her, kind of lended her voice to that. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I've got a few other things pulled up here. She was in the Detroit Become Human game. She's been in the Psychopaths anime. She's been in. I guess so she was the voice of Bayonetta in the video games as well, not just the anime. I figured I should double check on that. She's been a big character in the
Assassin's
Near
Creed
Guild.
Valhalla, she was in.
Yep, yep. She's yeah. I see that right on here as well. Yeah, I mean this list goes back. She was in the most recent Devil May Cry game, uh, Naruto many times. She was in the Batman Ninja anime. She's just one of the voices in Devilman Crybaby
Wow,
uh, from 2018. The
extensive.
Neo video games, Black Butler the anime, Mirror's Edge, Street Fighter, Detective Pikachu. I mean, there's this list goes on and on and on. She was in a lot. She was a The Witcher series, Final Fantasy. I mean, yeah, it just keeps going.
Yeah. This is something that has a list of some of her characters here that you named off here. It shows that prolific voice actor
Yeah,
there in the business. I mean, constantly working, as you saw from her resume. I mean, she was not without a job. I mean, that is definitely for sure there. So yeah, rest in peace to her.
yeah,
Um,
pour one out.
mm, yeah, great voice actress there. So yeah, that was news there. Uh, and we're gonna be heading out. We're gonna be raiding somebody. Cosmopolitics is on right now. I don't know if you or Ulysses or Cal any suggestions of who I should rate. Anybody that's on right now.
Give it a
Uh,
little look here. Uh, I see. I don't see anybody listed on my end at the moment, but there's a lot of people just random people playing Black Myth Wukong. I see a lot of that popping up.
yeah, people love that Black Myth Wukong. It's a new game, man. Hot new game right now.
I was excited for it, but I didn't think it was going to be this big of a success.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's breaking records. A lot of people loving it there. Um, yeah. Do you feel like get some of the criticisms? I've heard some people say it is kind of repetitive. It's kind of
Honestly, no, not in the repetitive aspect at all. I feel like I'm unlocking so many new abilities and spells, and one of even in the mythology, it's a big thing that he can do these spirit transformations and turn into like different beings and stuff. And so there's a lot of that in the gameplay where you're turning into entirely different creatures to do attacks. Um, there's even one where it's a spell I have and you get it pretty early on, but like you turn into an entire boss that you fought, and you just have the boss's moveset temporarily for a little bit of time. I wouldn't. I honestly don't get people saying it's repetitive at all. I think I think there's a lot more going on here than there is in say God of the last God of War game, and not to say that there isn't a lot going on in the gameplay of that, but people don't make the criticism of that game, and I think that there's more options here, at least just from what I've seen so far. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it just doesn't feel satisfying for some people, which maybe that's just a personal preference. Um, The big thing I can understand is performance issues for sure. Like, if you're having performance issues, the game's not running well for you. 100%. That ding some points off of it for that. I can only speak to myself not having that problem. But yeah, I would be surprised to hear the repetitive, or I guess I am surprised when I hear the repetitive statement, just because I feel like there's a lot going on, and every boss is such a wildly different pattern to memorize and try and kind of figure out and get around. And I feel like I'm just constantly every two to 3 minutes, I feel like I'm unlocking something. So that the sense of progression to me is really strong.
I can't wait to play. Still haven't played it yet. I'm gonna play it probably tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and hop on there tonight and play it. I'm
Let
gonna
me
rate
know
Cosmo.
how hard you find it.
Yeah, see how hard I find it there. I've never played the Souls games before, or any of Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Bloodborne. Never played any of those before. So it'll be interesting to see my experience there playing it. But yeah, like I said, it's more close to something like Bayonetta, more close to something like Devil May Cry. He said.
I would say so. I mean, there's elements that are kind of similar to the Souls franchise. Like you have specific stopping points where you rest, you can refill all your health and stuff, but doing so also brings all the enemies that you killed back. So if you want to go backwards and explore, you'll have to fight those enemies again. So that's like a Dark Souls element that is in this game. And there are elements that are in it. It's not like it's not like those at all, but I would say in terms of how much DNA from other games, I think it is closer to that sort of action game that is a Bayonetta or a Devil May Cry.
All right, we'll head out of here. Sage, one more time. What can people find you? What you got going on, man? Upcoming streams,
Yeah,
everything like that.
you can find me over at Rated M for Maturity on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, all under that exact same name. Tuesdays right now we're playing Gollum, which has been a heck of a good roast of a game. Otherwise, we've got a couple different shows throughout the week. Tuesday afternoon is Gollum right now. Friday, every other Friday night, we're doing Baldur's Gate 3. Every Saturday night, we're doing Wolong Fallen Dynasty, which is another Chinese mythology game, actually, which is based on the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. So that was another one that came out just last year. But we will be doing this upcoming Saturday is a special kind of one-off stream about 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to have a couple of our co-hosts over here, and we're going to be doing a special event thing for Black Myth Wukong specifically. Kind of show off basically the first chapter of the game. I've already made my way through it, so I can kind of do a demonstration of it, run through that. So if anybody wants to get a preview and a kind of sense of the game, maybe before making a purchase, we're going to do a little demonstration on Saturday.
Very cool there. Radiant Maturity, Twitch, trying to get to 500 followers there. 100 followers also on YouTube there. Radiant Infant Maturity there. 100 subscribers. Let's get them to that. Great channel, great guys over there. Very passionate. Cool guys hanging out playing video games. So yeah. All right, people. You can find us on all social medias: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky, all the afternoon tune. Just type it in, you'll be able to find us. If you want to send us an email, you can do so at theafternoon@gmail.com. We're also wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you see us on emails platform, make sure to leave a good 5-star review. It helps boost up the podcast and does a lot for us there. Twitch.tv/afternoon tune. Usually streaming every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, sometimes Wednesday there. Upcoming stream, we got Friday, probably 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to be doing a review for Alien Romulus. We're going to be doing a review for Blink twice, and we're going to be doing a review for The Crow. Yes, very good people there. So yeah, that's the only upcoming stream we got planned out for there. YouTube.com, the afternoon tune, trying to get to 2K subs there by the end of this year. That'd be awesome if we could do that, and get to 600 followers on Twitch. That'd be awesome if we could do that as well. And eventually 1K by the end of this year on Twitch followers. All right, people, going to send you over to Cosmopolitics there. Christina, great streamer there, with also a bunch of other great people there, like Movie Night Extravaganza. They had me on their show doing Deadpool and Wolverine. Very much enjoyed that, doing a review for that. Thank you to Ulysses. Thank you to Cal for showing up there. Also, if Sky wanted to come on anytime to discuss Black Myth Wukong, that's awesome. She's welcome to come on there and discuss this as well. I don't know how passionate she'll be about it. I don't know if she's passionate about this as much as she is Three Body Problem, but
I would say equally passionate, but in the opposite direction where she has positive things to say instead of negative.
okay. Well, let me know. Love to have that experience on here. All right, people, stay tuned. All right.
Awesome.
Yeah.